America's most dangerous amusement park. Welcome to Action Park. An amusement park should be a place of fun and joy where people of all ages can kick back, relax, and get away from the rush of everyday life. This was the idea behind Action Park, to provide a massive variety of rides and entertainment for the whole family. It was supposed to be a park like no other.
There's nothing in the world like Action Park.
And a park like no other it had become. By the time it closed its doors, hundreds of people were hospitalized, thousands injured, and half a dozen killed. This is Action Park, the most dangerous amusement park in history. Created in 1976 by Eugene Mulvihill, owner of the Great American Recreation Company, GAR. Action Park was an idea to earn some money during the summer months. Mulvihill was the owner of the Vernon Valley Great George Ski Area in Vernon Township, New Jersey. Realizing that the summer months were a financial burden, he needed a way to make money. One of his first additions came in the summer of 1978, when they added 2 water slides and a go-kart track. The park's name changed to Vernon Valley Summer Park, but adopted the name Action Park when it formally opened on July 4th. Each year, more and more attractions were added. These included a deep water swimming pool, tennis courts, and a softball field. It was subsequently named the Water World section of the park. In 1980, the final section was added, coined Motor World. It featured numerous motorized rides. The park evolved into a major destination, having more than 75 different rides, and was one of America's first modern water parks. And Mulvihill said the following about the park. Gene didn't want to do the same old shit, where you just get strapped into something and it twirls around. He wanted to take the idea of skiing, which is exhilarating because you control the action, and transfer it to an amusement park. There's an inherent risk in that. That's what makes it fun." End quote. By all early accounts, the park was a time bomb waiting to explode, with individuals being trusted for their own safety. Nevertheless, the park became an attraction for the wider public, having its boom years from the early to mid-1980s. Rides were operating fine and nothing truly sinister had happened yet. Perhaps the only big incident was when 2 guests passed away within a week of each other, but only a single ride was closed. One was the 15-year-old George Lopez, who drowned in the tidal wave pool, followed by 27-year-old Jeffrey Nathan, electrocuted on the kayak experience. The park was exonerated of any negligence, but the ride would be closed. No one batted an eye at these deaths, and the park continued to surge in numbers. Fortunes were about to change, both financially and legally, for the Mulvihill family. In the summer of 1984, 2 more deaths were recorded. One, an unknown man, suffered a fatal heart attack in the cold water beneath the Tarzan swing. The cause was suggested to be a large fluctuation in water temperatures. Water on the slides was between 50 and 60 degrees Fahrenheit, that is 10 to 16 degrees Celsius. This contrasted with the rest of the pools operating at between 70 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 21 to 27 degrees Celsius. The second was a 20-year-old man named Donald DePass from Brooklyn, who drowned in the cliff dive pool. Andrew Mulvihill, son of owner Gene, described in his book how the murky waters made it impossible to spot DePass or find him underwater. The pool remained operational, receiving a makeover of white paint to make the surface more visible. All sources for these deaths will be linked in the description. This was also the first time authorities stepped in, leading to a 110-count grand jury indictment against the 9 related companies operating the park. Owner Gene eventually pleaded guilty to 5 insurance fraud charges. Despite investigations, Action Park remained open. On its busiest weekends, almost 12,000 guests would pass through its doors. With the high foot traffic, park officials said the injury and death rate was significant compared to the number of happy guests. But a nearby emergency room director at the nearest hospital didn't like this idea. While his name was never revealed, the director said they treated from 5 to 10 patients per day when the park was busy, leading to the park itself buying its own extra ambulances to keep up with the volume of injuries. As the price of insurance began rising in the early 1990s, Action Park was forced to close down a few of its rides, with the park slowly becoming a shell of its former self. Visitors simply didn't go anymore. Even more shocking, the decline in its guests during the early 1990s led to financial turmoil, and by 1995, the GAR, the parent company, was operating Vernon Valley, Great George, and Action Park. without any liability insurance. Despite eventually purchasing insurance, more turmoil was on the horizon. Action Park faced foreclosure from First Fidelity Bank. In court records, it was revealed that the bank loan was an estimated $19 million. But spiraling debt and more debtors coming forward meant that Action Park was about to go down. The original Action Park eventually closed its doors on September 6, 1996. But this is not the end of the story. A year later, and now under the ownership of Pradium Recovery Fund, Action Park reopened with Angel Project now in charge of running the operations. The revamped Waterworld section, now named Mountain Creek Water Park, opened in 1998. Ultimately, the park had failed, but many questions remained unanswered as to why the park was so dangerous. It was later suspected that these fatalities and injuries were largely due to the makeup of visitors, staff, and lax government oversight. While no formal investigation into what happened was launched, there are a few things to note. First of all, this was the first park of its kind in the United States. Not only did it become an experiment where rides were tested in real life instead of beforehand, but GAR faced a lot of financial troubles. What makes sense is that the company might have cut various corners to maximize its profits. One prominent accusation was that the rides were built very cheaply and no one really bothered with maintenance. Secondly, the issue of staff. Jim Desai, security director for the park, was merely 21 when he got the job. Furthermore, other staff members were teenagers, often working at the park for some extra money during the summer holidays. In fact, many of these teenagers simply did it for the fun and party. They were often underage and undertrained, and some even speculate that they might have been intoxicated when operating these rides. Finally, the visitors also cannot be overlooked, with its biggest competitor being the Six Flags Great Adventure. This became a hub. Not only was it closer for residents in the area, but also cheaper than Six Flags. The park never truly questioned whether someone was the right age or even if they could swim. Furthermore, ads were run in Spanish, but employees could hardly correspond with guests who spoke the language, often leading to miscommunications. Another probable cause was also the fact that rides were routed in such a way that those standing in line could see others. It often led to risque behavior and teenagers all trying to show off their bravery. Thanks to the availability of alcohol on the premises, fights were also a common occurrence when disagreements arose. But lax regulations and almost no oversight were also major factors in what happened. Ultimately, it was a combination of the above that led to the downfall of Action Park, as well as the owners believing that people should be free to make their own choices and take their own risks. In 2014, the name of the park was once again changed to Action Park, but only lasted 2 years, until the death of the original owner. With such a bad record, Mountain Creek Water Park was once again adopted, which is how the park operates today. Ultimately, it was a quick boom followed by a sudden collapse, proving the importance of adequate training and management. But what do you think of Action Park? And let us know in the comments if you ever visited.